Good morning. My name is Nadine Dolby, and I'm president of Animal Advocates of Greater Lafayette. And I am very pleased to be here today with Beth Carper. Beth is the president of the, let me get this right, Tippecanoe Exotic Animal Rescue and Sanctuary. So Beth, let's start with, why don't you tell me something about your background and how you got interested in running a rescue and sanctuary for exotic animals.
So my background, I went to Purdue for my bachelor's in animal science, which is kind of where I got exposed to exotics in the first place, just working with different professors there. And then afterwards, I decided to get my master's in humane education, which kind of focuses on animal welfare and that sort of thing. And for a while, I was also the operations manager at Almost Home Humane Society here in Lafayette, and I just saw what a need we had in the community for some sort of rescue like this here in Lafayette.
And when did you start the rescue? How long has it been?
This is our 1 year, so in January 2020.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
That's wonderful. We're really glad to see that started. So tell me something about what an exotic animal is, because I think that's a term that's frankly a little confusing to me, and so I think a little confusing to maybe some people who'll be watching this video. Can you tell us what an exotic animal is?
So I think a lot of people think of lions, tigers, bears
Yes.
when they think exotic animal. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, although it can be that. It's really anything that's not local to your region. So for instance, reptiles, most reptiles are, obviously we do have some native reptiles here in Indiana, but reptiles, birds, fish, things such as guinea pigs and rabbits aren't even local to Indiana, so those are also considered exotic animals. So pretty much just anything that doesn't exist here naturally, I guess you could say.
Okay, so can you give us an example of some of the exotic animals that you have right now in your sanctuary?
So right now we have a couple of bearded dragons. That's a very big one that we get in. Leopard geckos, as well as some tropical fish, various fish that, I mean, you would probably see in pet stores, as well as a couple of turtles is what we've got right now.
Okay. So are there a lot of exotic animal sanctuaries around the country? Are you really unique, and tell us about that?
It's definitely not as big as, your humane societies and cat dog type rescues, but there's a few. We've got one in Indianapolis, and then there's one in Kokomo as well, but for the Lafayette area, I think we're about the only one that I've seen, at least.
Okay. So tell us something about, where do the animals come from? Do people contact you? How do you find animals who need rescue or sanctuary?
Yeah, so a vast majority of them do come from people contacting us, asking us for help. Either they financially can no longer care for the animal, maybe the child is grown up and is no longer interested in the animal. Those situations happen a lot. And then sometimes our local pet stores here in Lafayette will say, hey, somebody needs to surrender this. However, the pet stores don't take in certain animals, so they'll contact us, as well as the local animal shelters may reach out too if there's something that they don't know how to take care of.
So I looked at your website, which is great, and you had some stories on your website of some of the residents. Could you tell us something about, maybe there were happy stories there were sad stories. Could you choose one of the residents of the sanctuary and tell us something about them and how they ended up with you and their story?
So one resident, our first really happy success story was Shakira. She was a juvenile ball python, and her owners had noticed her almost wheezing quite often, and they did not have the financial abilities to get the vet care that she required, so they contacted us, and we took her to Purdue's Animal Hospital, and found out that she had an extremely severe case of an upper respiratory infection, which is kind of like a cold, but when in reptiles it can be pretty severe and life-threatening. So we were able to get her started on antibiotics right away, keep her on some fluids. She turned around, and at the time she was maybe 2 feet long. She is now in a happy home, and she's almost 4 feet long at this point, last time we checked with her. So she's living a happy life since then.
She's doing really well.
Yeah.
So I noticed in your title there's 2 words that maybe some people could use some explanation of. Rescue and sanctuary. Can you talk a little bit about those 2 words and maybe how they're different, but also maybe how they overlap and sort of complement each other?
Yeah, so rescue would be us more so taking something in and then readopting it out to a family, whereas sanctuary, if we deem that something may be too much for a family to handle, very severe cases, we will keep them permanently within the sanctuary.
Okay. So do you have any residents right now who are you've decided need to be in your sanctuary?
Yeah, so we did end up keeping 2 bearded dragons,
Okay.
mainly for health concerns. One just wasn't, I don't know how much longer he's gonna make it, so we just decided it would be best for us to care for him for the remainder of his life. And then the other one had pretty severe metabolic bone disease, which means he can easily fracture his legs and other bones in his body.
Wow.
So just making sure that we can keep an eye on him and make sure he's okay for the rest of his life.
Okay. So if someone's thinking about adopting an exotic animal, what would be some of the maybe the top 3 things that you would recommend people really think about before they go ahead with an adoption?
I think the biggest thing is definitely special care for these animals. These aren't cats and dogs where you can just feed them, take them outside to go potty. There's a lot more work that goes into it. Most need dietary supplements, they need special lighting, enclosures. So it's a lot more than just, having something that can run around your house freely. So you need to make sure that you're aware of all their special needs that go into their care. Something else would definitely be making sure that there is a veterinarian that you can work with in case they do get sick. It's a lot harder to find a vet that's willing to work with exotic animals. We're lucky to have Purdue here, and they're willing to work with nearly every species, so that's good for us here in Lafayette. And then I think the last thing would be just understanding that they have different personalities. Every species has a different personality, every single animal does as well, but within the species, they might be more standoffish, they might be more friendly, just depending on what you're looking for. You might need to find the right species as well, since there's such a variety when it comes to exotic animals.
Can you tell us something about the lifespan and life expectancy? Because I think that's something that people probably need to take into account if they adopt any animal.
Yes. For most reptiles, they will live just as long as cats or dogs. Sometimes, if it's a turtle or a tortoise, they can live just as long as you. So just making sure you're prepared to keep it just as long as you would a cat or a dog. There are a few, like hamsters, guinea pigs, rabbits, that have, about 5-year life expectancy, but many reptiles, amphibians have quite a longer life expectancy.
Okay. Can people adopt an exotic animal from your rescue and sanctuary?
Yeah, so we are always looking for people to adopt. If you're interested in adopting, you can visit our website to see who's available. If you are interested in a certain species that you don't see available, you can contact us and we can let you know when one becomes available. And that's just going to our website, filling out the application, and then we will contact you, making sure you're a good match, and go from there.
Okay. And let's say that somebody's interested in adopting an exotic animal, but they can't find the perfect match through your sanctuary and rescue. What might be some other responsible ways to go about doing that?
Yeah, so there's, like I said, there's other rescues in the area. ERPS is located in Indy, and they're much larger than us, so they definitely have some more animals to choose from. And that's EARPS. And then petfinder.com also has any reputable rescues listed, and you can search by species on petfinder.com as well.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize that petfinder.com had more than cats and dogs, but that's really good to know. And are your animals listed on Petfinder?
If they
Are
available, yes, we do put them on Petfinder.
Okay, so those are good tips for people to know in terms of exotics. Are there any particular tips that people should keep in mind if they have children in terms of adopting an exotic animal?
Yeah, so most exotic animals are docile and friendly. However, there are certain species that may not be. For instance, chameleons are not, some people, though they're very pretty, they're not easy to handle. And I would stick with more, docile, make sure the kids are okay with them and are able to handle them properly.
Okay. And what if people have, a lot of people have cats and dogs.
Yes.
What if people have cats and dogs? Is that a good idea to have an exotic? Is it okay? Is it just really a bad idea?
Well, I have my own reptiles, as well as 2 dogs. We just make sure to keep them in separate rooms away from the dogs, and make sure that their enclosures are properly closed at all times if we're not in the room.
Okay, so it definitely would be recommended to keep exotic animals separated from cats and dogs.
Yeah,
okay.
Just because cats and dogs might see it as a prey, their prey drug might kick in, and something could happen. Although,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And if people want to find out more about what you do, if they'd like to volunteer, donate, adopt, support you in some ways, what are the things that people could do to help you?
I think the biggest thing is just letting people know we're here. Like I said, we've only been around for a year, so a lot of people don't know that we're here in the community. So just spreading the word that we are here. We also love donations, like tanks, lighting, any sort of food that we can take is also a big help for us.
And if people want to donate food, is it species specific, or is there general food that you would take?
If you go onto our website, we do have an Amazon wish list that kind of has everything that we're asking for currently on there.
Great. And do you take volunteers if people want to help? How is that working right now?
Right now we're doing fosters, so
okay, that's good to know.
If you would like to foster with us, you would just need to fill out a foster application, and then we will also give you everything you need for the animal. You won't need to have your own supplies, so you're also able to do that.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't talk about that you feel like people should know about the great work that you're doing?
I think really, I just think maybe some exotic animals have a bad reputation, and I think people should know that they can also be just as fun and friendly and have a great personality just like any dog or cat would, and they can make great pets for people who may be allergic to dogs or cats, and just are looking for something different potentially.
Okay. Well, thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing for animals.
Thank you.
And for humans in our community.
Thanks.